Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out one of the most hypocritical things, at least in my opinion, that Mark Holland has ever said while he was out making an announcement in regards to his own reaction to the new breast cancer screening guidelines. But I don't want to focus so much on the guidelines themselves, but on Mark's response to a reporter's question when asked about vaping, and this is what he had to say.
Can we get an update on the flavored vape ban? Where are we with that? Do we have a timeline? What's going on there?
Yeah, so we're moving forward not only on vaping, but on all nicotine replacement products, on a ban on flavors. There are powers that are extended to me in the Budget Implementation Act, which we have before Parliament right now, which is moving through Parliament, that will give me those powers as a matter of right. I think it's exceptionally important that we shut down the flavors that are attracting youth to these products. I'm deeply concerned, as I have been right from the onset of vaping, that these products are being used as a new vector to addict kids who aren't ever having exposure to nicotine.
So this guy is now on a warpath to ban flavored vapes and nicotine patches in what, this for the sake of the children now? Yet when the drugs that they decided to decriminalize was actually killing children because they had meth, coke, heroin, fentanyl, all the hard drugs that were coming out and they were getting into the hands of the youth, they didn't think to recriminalize them immediately or even faster than it took them to do that now. And listen, I'm not for smoking. I never smoked in my life. I think it is pretty gross, and I don't think young kids should do that. But it's very strange that he's so adamant about banning these things and not getting kids addicted, yet the hard drugs, or the safe supply, as they like to call it, they were totally fine with giving those drugs out. And at this point, they move on to another set of questions, but that same reporter doubles down and comes back and says, like, elaborate a little bit more.
Back on the flavored vapes, I'm sorry, but I can go to the LC right now and buy blueberry flavored vodka. I can go to the weed store, buy blueberry joints. How is that different from vapes?
Well, the reality is nicotine is a wickedly addictive substance.
Hey, Mark, you know what's more addicting? Hard drugs like fentanyl, meth, coke, heroin. That's why these people are friggin' zombies on the street, passed out, OD'd. That's why they're obsessed with going back and addicted to coming back to the safe supply to get more of these drugs. And obviously, nicotine poisoning is a thing which can potentially lead to an overdose, but I have never seen somebody overdose from having a pack of smokes or from smoking a vape. Yet, these zombies that are littered all over the street because they're high out of their minds and just tripping balls, I think those would be the ones that we should have more concern over what we're doing with the drug situation. But I digress. Let's let him continue talking.
I think that the other piece that is exceptionally different is that the original intention of these products was to get people off of tobacco. So the reason, and look, I was the head of Heart and Stroke's Ontario mission at the time when vaping began taking off, and I said at the time that this isn't a cessation tool. I mean, it can be, but it also can be a new delivery mechanism for nicotine. Anytime you're putting a new product, something brand new out into the market, like alcohol has existed for a long time. Cannabis is a whole other conversation, and I'm willing to have it. But this was an entirely new vector. It didn't even exist as a product, and they were bringing it to market. And they claimed that it was for the purpose of cessation. And yet the marketing and the flavors addicted all kinds of kids. And now we have huge cohorts of kids who are addicted to nicotine, to disastrous health effects, because these products are being used in a way that they weren't intended to be used. And so, one of the reasons that I'm coming so aggressively at nicotine pouches is because it's the same darn story all over again, where they were approved for the purpose of cessation. And now at sports games, we see kids with these under their tongues as a product they'd never been exposed to before. These are kids who had no intersection with nicotine, now getting addicted to a deadly drug. It's disgusting. It's repugnant that these companies would do that.
No, actually, what's disgusting and repugnant is that the government allowed this drug situation to get where it got. He's going on and on about how addicting nicotine is, and yes, I know plenty of people who started smoking and they find it extremely hard to quit. But we are talking about hard drugs here. And he wants to aggrandize saying, oh, I don't want these kids to get addicted because these nicotine patches, their purpose was to help with cessation, yet that's not what they're doing. Well, your drug policy didn't do that either. You guys were talking about destigmatizing it and mental health and helping people and getting them off the hard, lethal drugs. Yet now we know through all the reports that they were selling those drugs for even stronger drugs that you guys weren't providing. And then those safe supply drugs were getting in the hands of kids, and kids were ODing. So it's just super hypocritical that this guy's talking about nicotine and how addicting it is, but he hasn't mentioned, and I'm surprised no reporter actually pushed back and mentioned the whole drug thing to him in regards to this as he's spewing all this out. But the next set of questions are about the timeline, and he talks about how swiftly he wants to work, even though it's been over 3 years since this proposal of removing the flavored vapes.
And so it's essential that we have the power to be able to act as rapidly as they act. And as soon as they find a loophole, we have to be able to close it. And we have to make sure that they don't have flavors that entice kids to get to this extremely addictive drug. Because once you're hooked on nicotine, it's incredibly difficult. You really have your reward system weaponized against you, and it becomes a devastatingly difficult thing to get off. And if you don't, it is disastrous for your health.
Timeline for banning vape flavors then? I mean, you said, yeah, it needs to be passed in the Budget Act, but when are you actually going to do it? This was 3 years ago.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, as soon as I have the powers under the Budget Implementation Act, I want to act immediately.
So he states once he gets these powers that be, he's going to work immediately to try to ban these flavored vapes and nicotine patches. Yet it was like pulling teeth, especially in the House of Commons, when they were trying to get this party and the NDP Liberal government to recriminalize hard drugs in BC as per BC's request. Yet it took them almost a month because they said, oh, well, we don't want to re-stigmatize. It's not a criminal thing. It's a mental health thing. And we got to talk with this group and we got to talk with that group and check with everybody else but the people who are asking to have it recriminalized. But here he's saying as soon as he gets these powers, immediately. Doesn't need to talk to anybody. He's just going to do what he needs to do. Like, the disconnect is insane with this guy. I just don't get it. But of course, this is just my opinion. I'd love to hear from you guys what you thought about this whole situation. So let me know in the comment section below. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.